European Parliament members have been discussing whether or not to officially condemn human rights violations in Bahrain. Today, they've got a resolution ready which focuses on the leader of the kingdom's anti-government movement, Nabil Rajab. A number of MEPs have put the pressure on colleagues who are planning not to greenlight it meantime.
Nabil Rajab's case is emblematic, but that's the point. It's emblematic of many more cases of repression and abuse of human rights.
The general human rights situation in Bahrain remains dire. Thousands are in arbitrary arrest, citizenships are taken away from people, and the tensions have been going on for years.
Fear of prosecution, fear of violence, and some of fear for their lives. Yet the European Union is doing nothing to stop these events, but it is in fact funding and supporting their continuation.
Well, in the last hour, a tweet on Nabil Rajab's behalf says the EU has already ratified the resolution, but we're yet to confirm that for you, though we're on it. If so, Europe's officially called on Bahrain's monarchy to immediately release all jailed human rights activists and political activists. It also urges the kingdom to abide by its international obligation. A bit more about the man we're talking about here, Nabil Rajab. You may be familiar with his name. He's a high-profile founder of the Bahrain Centre for Human Rights. He's been often on this channel when he's out of jail. He's a vocal critic of the current regime and advocates freedom of expression and debate. He was sentenced to 2 years most recently in jail in 2012 for inciting protests. He was released in May 2014, but then a new conviction quickly followed. So he's now serving a prison term for posting a tweet deemed insulting to the kingdom's regime and its security. And in the message that landed him in jail, Rajab suggested, this is what irked the authorities, the kingdom's security institutions were the first ideological incubator, as he put it, for many Bahraini men to go on and join ISIS. Now, when police zoned in on Rajab, human rights groups accused the Bahrain government of intimidation, of torture and of falsifying evidence. Nabil commented on it too when he was arrested. He described it as just another attempt, he said, to gag free speech.
هذه إلا يعني محاولة أخرى لقمع حرية الناس في التعبير عن آرائها. حقيقة أنني يشعرني للأسف أن أرى هؤلاء العشرات من الناس يحيطون بمنزلي ليس للقبض على مجرم وإنما للقبض على شخص يعبر عن رأيه.
Human rights organisations have long been critical of Bahrain's record. They say the situation there deteriorated, though significantly, in the wake of 2011's mass anti-government demonstrations. As for the United States, it said that even though it doesn't consider Bahrain's human rights situation to be adequate, it went on to say it's important to recognise the progress that's recently been made. Well, having hailed supposed improvements, the US added that it was resuming its military aid in Bahrain. It also has a large naval base in the country. In fact, it's the home port of the US Navy's Fifth Fleet. Recently, worth bearing in mind too, Britain announced plans to open a new naval base in Bahrain. Back to Nabil and his plight. A friend and fellow activist of his family explained to us why he thinks Western countries ignore rights abuses in the Gulf Kingdom.
So for us, it is clear that the UK is complicit with a lot of the abuses by providing the Bahraini government with the political coverage. As a matter of fact, their role is now misleading the international community and talking about reforms, talking about cosmetic reforms like those institutions, which hasn't been tested yet. And as a matter of fact, when you would ask the FCO or the UK or anyone who's been supporting the government, is the issue of Bahrain's technical assistance? Is it that they don't know torture is something deliberate, that it is done in order to break the will of the people, and it's the only available tool for the repressive regimes to use against its own people? They know that fact, but of course they would have to find a way in order to praise the government for those efforts.